Welcome to this video about Uranus moving into Gemini in July 2025. Now, this is an 8-year transit that is coming up. Planet Uranus is moving signs. We have a lot of cosmic activity going on that will affect everybody this year. It's a big year. So I wanted to give an update, and really it's a energetic, intuitive feel into what could we be looking at under Uranus in Gemini. And I want you to feel like this is not me telling you what will happen. Take the energy of what I am imparting, make it yours, allow it to feed into and blast open and infuse and activate whatever you are already feeling intuitively for yourself. So, planet Uranus moves into Gemini on 7/7/25. So it's already the 7/7 portal. And if anyone watching is already attuned to portal energies, so those days, not only the days when it's like a number, like 11/11, 8/8, 7/7, but also the Sirius gateway is open during the first week of July and tends to come to a peak on that portal day of 7/7. That's how I find it. So if, like me, you are attuned to that kind of energy coming through, just imagine what will happen when Uranus, the lightning bolt, the great awakener, enters a new sign, and an air sign, all about mental processing and speaking and communicating. We are in for some upgrades, to put it mildly. Okay, so Uranus will stay in the sign of Gemini until the 22nd of May 2033, making this approximately an 8-year transit. So Uranus, let's just stick with the energy of planet Uranus to start with. Now, I love planet Uranus. And there are clues in your chart as to how Uranus will work for you, how we each receive and take in information. And this is higher dimensional thinking information. So we see Uranus as the higher octave of Mercury. Now, Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. So we are really talking about supersized, souped up information here. Now, Uranus corresponds with the 8th chakra. So I see it as like the bridge, the divine bridge between the higher dimensional chakras and realms and what's going on for you energetically in your body. So how, like I say, how you receive will be known by you in whatever way you've framed that for yourself, and will also have all of the clues and codes in your own birth chart as to how that happens. So just as an example, my Uranus is in the first house in Scorpio. I know that I take in information through my sacral chakra, and then almost instantly it forms into mental pictures. So that's the clairvoyance and sometimes clairaudience. It will work in whatever way you are designed to work, okay? And your human design chart will inform this as well. Now, planet Uranus, always been there. However, it was discovered by a man called William Herschel, in 1781. Now, I find this quite interesting because it's 1781 is also the year that human design projector type appeared on the scene. Now, I'm not going to make any comments about that because I'm not a human design specialist, but I think it's something that's relevant to hold there because Uranus is like the great awakener. We've always called it like the lightning bolt of information. So it's sudden, it's light, and it's sudden, and it strikes you. Now, I prefer to see Uranus these days as more of an atomic blast. So it's a huge, and this is just how I see it, but it's a huge clarifying, clear the field of anything that was untruth and just leave like a blast. You've been blasted into knowing. So unknowing has been shattered and now you're in knowing. What was unseen becomes seen. What was unheard becomes heard. What was unknown becomes known. And when it's so much of a blast like that, you can't go back to a previous iteration of self. It would be utterly insane to try and kid yourself that you don't know something that you do know. And I mean know on a really internally, spiritually felt soul knowing sense. You don't go backwards from that. It may be that your human self has to catch up with the new knowing, with the new energetic, spiritual upgrade, if you like. But there can be no going back. And that's quite harsh. Yeah, because you're then having to do a grief process of mourning your former self, former ways of being, but you can't go back to that. So there is something here about knowing that we are collectively ushering in new ways of being that will, when we look back on how we were, we will go, I just can't even barely remember being like that. It just feels so old and so long ago. So, just to go back to Herschel, who discovered planet Uranus in 1781, he was a church organist in Halifax Minster. This is where my historical side comes into play. And if there is a connection between the frequency of music and the frequency of planetary energy for you, I just want to put that there. He was a musician and also an astronomer. I just want to say that for whoever I'm saying that for, as well as myself. So Uranus is the great change maker. It's the revolutionary. It calls us into quick, sudden bursts of evolution. If we are not mindful about working with the processes of change and the processes of evolution that naturally occur through a life and through societal change, then Uranus can blindside us. Then Uranus looks like it's doing something to us. So it can come as sudden, shocking events in the life. And those events can feel life-changing. Now, we can choose to make life-changing declarations. We can choose to be Uranus. We can choose to be mindful that Uranus works through us and is us, and we are the change. If you don't like something, you be the change, because you have Uranus within you. So this feels like it's about activating your inner Uranus, and wherever Gemini is in your own natal chart, this will be the area that you choose to be the revolutionary. So what do you naturally think about, talk about? Where do you want to see the upgrades? Where would you love those Gemini upgrades to be? Do you wish that you could have awakened conversations with all your neighbours? Well, how about we go out and be the change? How about you go have those conversations? How about you set up neighbourhood groups that are along the lines of discussing the things that you want to discuss? Yeah, so this will be the kind of thing where people are called into, remembrance of, I get to be the change. Whatever is the thing that you're thinking and that you would like to talk about, you get to talk about it. You get to think your own thoughts, right? You know this. Anybody watching this knows this. So Gemini, the sign of Gemini is all about thinking, mental processes, how we communicate, what we choose to communicate about, the power and depth and nuance and intensity with which we choose to communicate, and what are the topics. So if we decide on a topic that really, really lights us up, and we have a lot to say about it, we may find that that communication gets supersized under Uranus in Gemini. What I perceive is that because our communication style and mental processing will be so rapid, we will be vibrating on a particular frequency, and we will choose quite rapidly who is in our orbit or not. Because we will be so determined to talk about and think about the things that matter to us, because why would we be talking or thinking about things that don't matter? So we will just get this supersized energy to think about and talk about what we care about, and that will be our orbit. That will inform our orbit. We will be also mentally absorbing whatever feels really good to us, and you may be feeling this energy coming. You may be moving around different social media platforms. You may be absorbing content in different ways. You may be seeking out different types of content and the ways that it's presented, and start to realize what resonates and reverberates for you. That word was hard for me. So there will be a revolution in the way that we consume information, desire information, and desire to be on the same wavelength as our mental tribe, if you like. Now, this doesn't mean that everything's in the mind. Come on, we've had a lot of years to do this work. So there has been ample opportunity to tune into our deepest feelings, to emotionally clear out, to spiritually up-level, spiritually understand what's going on, to become our own version of the conscious person that we are, that we've decided and declared that we are. And we'll have things to say about that, okay? And it will almost feel like, right, I've got these ideas, and I've had these ideas bubbling for years, and here they are, blah, 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 blah. And if somebody doesn't resonate with what you're saying, you'll go, well, that's okay, bye. I'll just go choose a group that does. And there will be quite a lot of shifting about. It's almost like the upgraded conscious version of when you're making friends at high school, because Gemini is also connected with teenage years. So it's like, and I don't want you to get triggered because, well, God, you might be. Sorry, I'm not in control of your triggers, right? Not everybody had a great high school experience, let's say, because you may have felt excluded or rejected from certain girl gangs that you thought you wanted to be in, or that maybe you didn't like, and you were the resistance and you got shoved out of those. But it's all that finding your feet. It's like, who am I, and therefore who are my mates? And of course, you just magnetically attract, don't you? And you form groups of people who attract for a certain reason. And of course, when you're at school, you're always with your peer group because they're always, the same age as you. So you've got all the commonality of the outer planets. But it's not like this under Uranus in Gemini. It's like, yes, we're going to form groups along mental vibrations, but it's the upgraded Uranian values. So what is it that you want to see change? You will go into those groups who are like-minded. And this is also, this is not happening in isolation. We have Pluto in Aquarius now. So this is transforming the way that we do groups, the way that we communicate, the way that we use technology to communicate. So having Uranus in the sign of Gemini, as well as Pluto in Aquarius, all of this is air, the big bad boys of the of the cosmos, Uranus and Pluto in air signs at the same time, there's going to be so much dialogue, mental activity. And it's not, like I say, it's not just in the mind. This is at depth. It's at whatever depth you have met yourself at and that you desire to communicate at. You will form groups based on the attraction points of those things. Now, the more that people talk, the more people who talk about the same thing, the more momentum that thing gets. And that's the power of groups. What I will say is Uranus has a clarifying energy. So allow yourself to really understand how Uranus clarifies for you, because you will want to move away from all forms of mind programming, having that crown chakra codependent on others, or having your third eye codependent on what others are seeing. No, this is a time to get your own processes. And if something feels off about a group or a person or about what a person's saying, then it's not for you. Trust your intuition. So important. Allow Uranus to work with you. Great clarifier. It's like I did that. It's like, it looked like I'm about to do some sort of prayer, like a priest or something. It's that vertical bright white light. Just allow yourself to be in your own pillar column of bright white light, the highest vibration, positive source energy that there is. Allow that, and you're working with Uranus at a high level. Okay, so how we think, communicate and educate will change. And I want to just give a little nod to the young people here, because please don't imagine that young people have no agency or power. I have teenagers at home, and one of them is a sixth former. So in that sort of 16 to 18 bracket. And during that time, young people go through Uranus, sextile Uranus. They are working with Uranus energy. So this is a note to anyone who has ever worked with that age group or who enjoys that age group, like the teachers at sixth form colleges. It's probably that you've got a really high functioning Uranus yourself, and you're attracted to young people who are really blasting wide open, curious, want that dialogue. They want to know, who am I in this world? How do I show up in this world? Give me information that helps me to clarify and position who I am as the adult I'm going to be. Now, that is a really key time in the mental development and character development of a young person. And those young people, let's not forget that the birth rate went right up at that time. There's a lot of them, and they're not stupid, and they have had access to the internet and to social media. They will have their own ideas, and let's just be mindful about how many of them there are and what they might come out with over the next 8 years in their 20s. A lot of them will have seen huge changes. They will have seen things that need to change about the world. They've watched governments handle the pandemic. They have, or not, they have access to podcasts about conspiracy theories and cover-ups, and do you know what I mean? And they have seen the state of mainstream education, and they probably have their own ideas about how shite that was and what they would do differently. Probably half of them won't even go to university because they will just go and set up an online business, right? Anything could happen. Anything could happen. I do think that education is so long overdue an upgrade, and so many parents have taken their children out of school and chosen homeschooling, and there is a lot to shift about mainstream education and about the way that we educate ourselves and each other through the use of technology. So this is harnessing technology for the good of all and being able to Gemini feel our way into which communities are right for us mentally. Okay. So Gemini is also super adaptable, flexible, open to change, and is quite quick-witted, so able to adapt, able to learn quickly, up level quickly, and just adapt. And if something's not right for a person under Uranus and Gemini, they will just shift. They will go, oh well, I've just decided to come out of that grip and I'm over here now, or I've decided to do a different career and here I go. So there will be a lot of rapid shifts happening, and I think we can just expect that. So in the local community, people will take what they have been thinking about, talking about and learning in groups online, and they will take that into their in-person communities. So it feels like there will be a cascade at community level of knowledge that people have gained and then they take out. Many people will, this is a different thing, but sort of related. Many people who feel that ultimately by the end of this lifetime, they will be living in supportive, interdependent, in-person communities, they will start to figure out how they do that, and they will be forming networks with the people who they consider to be their soul tribe, who they've got a fighting chance of creating a successful life with as a community based on values. So that will happen more, and it's almost like technology and our soul level, magnetic, spiritual, divine connection with other human beings, and our ability to tune into our connection and speak our authentic truth has been the clarifying magnetic field that connects you up with people. It's like the World Wide Web, and the way that information zooms really fast across email and social media and blah blah blah. It's like we do that too. Our hearts are so clever. We can do that. We can receive, we can emit, we can transmit, we can process. We are the data collection and processing and transmission field. Our body's technology is that. Now, as we have up-leveled our body's ability to be that beacon and transmitter, however you see it, you might see yourself as a lighthouse or a radio station, what do you even call it? That mast thing. It's like receiving. Whilst we've all been developing our skills and coming into more of who we already were and shoveling out the old, taking off the conditioning, taking off the constructs that didn't serve us. Whilst that's been happening, we have had the benefit of using technology to say our piece, to show up and physically say it, and beam our natural light. I am beaming my own natural light right now. I'm excited because I'm talking about Uranus and Gemini, right? So I'm beaming who I am. And every time you watch somebody who has used the power of video and internet, or every time you read their words, you are doing this. We're all doing this all the time. We're going, oh, that sounds like my kind of person. Oh, that's not for me. And we're doing that. We're making these mental judgments in the collective field all the time. And that will get supersized. Okay. And it's really exciting opportunity. We've been using tech to do this, and there are so many different forms of technology and how we can use that to then form more aligned in-person communities. Okay. Oh, I've just written a random, very short sentence that says, expect the unexpected. That's kind of an umbrella phrase for this whole period. And also that freedom is a key value of Uranus and of this whole period. Now, freedom means different things to different people, and zoning in on what freedom really truly means for you will be a game changer. You will need to keep doing that. How can I be free? So freedom and truth and love and joy, these are all the domain of the soul. The soul knows all of these goodies. Anyway, the trick is to bring that into human life, into the embodied life. What does that look like in terms of ways of living, ways of interrelating? And that brings me to another thing, which is intimate relationships. I think where in the past, where people have, I'm talking about where people have up-leveled their own feelings, their own life, their own hearts, their own feelings, actually, their feelings, your emotional landscape, where you have done that and then tried to communicate your thing to another person, where that hasn't resonated, and I mean particularly as a light worker, because I deal with a lot of light worker trauma through my own lived experience and through people I meet, through clients, through safe space groups. Where there has been light worker trauma, we have been so used to being the weirdo, being rejected, that we've almost kind of gone, oh, I'm almost expecting somebody to not understand me when I say my piece. That will completely change. If you are expressing your spiritual and emotional truth, your own real valid experiences, and someone cannot listen, because that's another communication piece, a very, very important communication piece. If someone is unable to listen and hold space, there will be a very rapid Uranus by then, because you cannot afford to waste time, and everyone will suddenly kind of know this. It will become much more obvious, like, we don't want to be wasting time here, there's shit to do, right? So in intimate relationships, expect more depth of communication, more heightened communication, more ability to rapidly turn emotional experience into verbal articulation. And another thing, where did I write this? I literally cannot see where this is. That's so weird. Okay. I know that there will be a rise in alternative viewpoints coming through books. So suddenly we can expect an influx of publications where people are publishing something where you go, you know, where the collective are like, what? Where's this been? What do you mean? Like, why have you not been saying this before? And it's like, well, it wasn't Uranus and Gemini before. Okay. So there will be a lot of books published where and blogs and people showing up on places like YouTube saying things that might sound uncommon to a lot of people, but it's like it's so embodied by this point. So you've got all these people with big gifts that they've held back, and they've been thinking about it maybe for years, writing about it, maybe for years. And suddenly we'll have all this access to information that will be very Uranian in content, because the ones with the brightest gifts have really been suppressed for so many reasons. So many reasons. And the worst of all is that it's just embedded through mainstream life, mainstream human conditioning. That's the worst thing, isn't it? That it's hiding everywhere, in plain sight, in all of your, you know, people at work, your colleagues, your friends, your family. It's like literally that suppression comes from within all of us until we choose to clear it out, until we choose to say our piece. So there will be a huge rise in that kind of information. Okay. Yeah. So I've just written here, I love this actually. In Uranus and Gemini, if we can't be a mental and communication match, then there is no match. Move on. This is the power of the light of truth. There you go. That is what it is. And then, yeah, just as a final note, bearing in mind that the upgrades that you receive will feel like they're happening really rapidly. So your thoughts, your body, your mind, your aura, like all of your field, like everything just will kind of feel like it's had this buzzy, amazing upgrade. It's like your software's upgrading. And you may notice as this happens, like a rapid imagination, like, oh my God, that thing that used to keep me stuck, I realise it's just gone now. And all you did was you allowed your body to, your body allowed the upgrades to simply take place. And you go, oh my God, that thing that I thought I'd never heal from, poof, gone, right? So rather than pushing something uphill and feeling like, oh my God, I've got to do more healing, it's like, nah, the energies are just doing it. You just get to allow this. So, all of this energy now from here, whatever date it is today, I think it's the 15th of February, from now until 7/7, just allow yourself to prepare for what's coming next. Anything that you're intuitively drawn to think, write, feel, you may be getting upgrades now for this new era. Just allow it. And if you would like to get some extra clarity on your chart one-to-one, and you're guided to ask me about that, then yes, I offer one-to-one readings. Just feel free to email me or book direct, and I'll pop all of my links in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to me, hopefully make notes. Feel free to drop in the comments anything that resonates, or if it doesn't, feel free to drop that. What did it spark for you? And once again, thank you so much for watching.